Most platformers on the PlayStation 2 have you jumping, running, maybe gliding. Scalar does something very different. You get captured, experimented on, and turned into a lizard. And suddenly, you're climbing walls, sticking to surfaces, and attacking enemies with your tongue. This isn't just another mascot platformer. This is one of those PS2 games that quietly tried something different and somehow flew under the radar. Welcome back to Stache Games. I am Neo Stache, gamer, collector, physical media preservationist, and someone who still believes that the PlayStation 2 is one of the greatest consoles ever made. If you enjoy revisiting nostalgic PS2 games, discovering uncommon titles, or diving into what makes these games unique, make sure you subscribe. This channel is all about exploring the PS2 library from iconic classics to overlooked games like this one. It released in 2004 across PlayStation 2, Xbox, and GameCube. At the time, platformers were everywhere on the PS2. So for a game like Scalar, standing out wasn't easy. You play as Bobby Scalar Johnson. Bobby is an energetic boy whose quick wit is matched only by his swift reflexes. He loves skateboarding and lizards, not necessarily in that order, and will move heaven and earth to save his friends. A kid who stumbles into something way bigger than he expected. After being captured, he's transformed into a lizard-like creature, and from there, the game becomes about adapting to a completely different way of moving and fighting. This is where Scalar really stands out. You're not just running across the ground, you're climbing walls, sticking to surfaces, and navigating levels vertically. Movement becomes the main mechanic, and once it clicks, you start seeing levels completely different. Combat is built around your transformation, so obviously a Scalar using a tongue-based attack system, letting you strike enemies from a distance. It's simple, but it keeps the gameplay flowing and fits the character perfectly. Your tongue attack also allows you to take out easier enemies or minor enemies, but also lets you stun stronger ones. You can also use Scalar's claw attack for heavy-duty combat. You can start with the simple claw attack and upgrade for more powerful claw attacks, and eventually master the ultimate claw attack. You can also combine this attack with a jump for the claw dash attack. After you defeat enough enemies of a certain type, Scalar can transform into them and use their unique abilities to his advantage. You've got the Bukadins, where you can use bomb-rolling attacks to take out enemies from a safe distance and blast open barriers. There's a Croc, where you can use his rolling spike attack to crush enemies and break through barriers. There's Duzums, allows you to fly to new areas and take out enemies with your sonar attack. Fruzard and Swoon. These Scalar transformations are pretty awesome. Quick pause here, guys, just for a brief moment. If you enjoy exploring PS2 games like this, especially the ones that tried something different, that's exactly what this channel is about. So if you love the PlayStation 2 era, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. All right, back to Scalar. Like many platformers from this era, you'll collect items, progress through levels, and unlock new areas. It's all familiar. One thing the game doesn't immediately explain, but becomes really important over time, is how collectibles tie directly into your progression. As you move through the levels, you're constantly picking up items. These items, like cloakies, are ways that you can upgrade your character, not just for completion's sake, but to actually improve Scalar's abilities. So the more you explore, the more you collect, the stronger Scalar becomes. And honestly, it adds this extra layer of motivation. When you're not just trying to reach the end of a level, you're actively looking for ways to improve your character along the way.
Yuck!
What makes Scalar interesting to me is that its uniqueness comes from that exact movement, not from any complexity. The ability to climb and reposition yourself changes how you approach every challenge. Aside from climbing and the camouflage, you also have vine riding, which I think is one of the coolest features of the game. You get to surf vines to gain access to new areas. You can also use the vines to charge up your electric bomb attack. Explore, climb, fight enemies, collect items, and progress. Simple structure, but enhanced by how you move through the world. Scalar is one of those games that start to pop up more in conversations again. Recently, I've seen more people talking about overlooked PS2 platforms, especially in communities like Reddit, where there's been a small resurgence in appreciation for games like this. Not because it was a massive hit, but because it tried something different. And as more players go back and explore the PS2 library, games like Scalar are getting a second look. Scalar leans into a colorful, stylized, visual design. The environments are clear, easy to read, and built around vertical movement. The soundtrack supports the pacing of the game, keeping energy during platforming sections while staying subtle during exploration, which I thought was a pretty cool touch. Scalar is a single-player platforming experience focused entirely on level progression, exploration, and completing the story. At first, movement always felt awkward. You're just getting used to it. It's a new game, you're adjusting, learning how to climb, learning how to reposition, knowing how things work. But once it clicks, just like everything else, you start flowing through these levels. And that's where this game really shines. From a collector's perspective, Scalar sits in that interesting middle ground. Not extremely rare, not super uncommon, but definitely overlooked. And those are often the most fun games to rediscover. Scalar isn't trying to reinvent platformers completely, but it introduces just enough to feel different. And for PS2 collectors such as myself, it's one of those games worth revisiting. Alright guys, if you enjoyed this video, I've got another PS2 deep dive you'll probably love. I will link it in the description and also right here. And if you're into exploring the PS2 library from classics to obscure titles, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. This is me, Stache, signing off again. You stay frosty, and thank you for watching. Cheers.